ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. So as you have seen, today we will discuss some verses of the Bhagavad Gita. The four kinds of devotees have been mentioned by Sri Krishna in verses starting from number 16 of the 7th chapter. So it is a very illuminating and of course very interesting also discussion, because when we know the types of devotees which are there, we also will know how we exactly stand, what is our place in the eyes of God, and what we have to do to approach closer to Him. So, there are some extremely illuminating commentaries on these wonderful verses, which we will try to discuss in a brief manner, because very detailed discussion will take a long time. So the background is, in the 15th verse of this chapter, 7th chapter, in the 15th verse, Shri Krishna says, he describes those kinds of people who don't worship God, who are not interested at all in God and religion. So what does he say describing those persons? He says, Namam dushkritino mooda prapadyante naradhama mayaya parhita jnana asuram bhavamashritaha. So Shri Krishna says that this dushkritina means who are evil doers. Evildoers, Naradhama, who are the vilest among men, they, deprived of wisdom by Mayaya Parhita Jnana, who are deprived of wisdom by Maya, and Asuram Bhavamashrita, who possess the demonical characteristics, do not adore me, do not worship me, do not take refuge in me. So in the 15th verse, Shri Krishna describes those people who have been attracted by all these temptations of the world and being deluded by Maya, who do not worship God. So after the Lord has said this, naturally the question arises, then who are those who do worship God? Who are the devotees? Because having said about those people who don't worship God, Shri Krishna also has to tell us who are those who do worship Him, who are good people, who are devoted to God, who take refuge in God, who worship Him. So in answer to that, Shri Krishna says in the 16th verse of this chapter, what does he say? I will just show the verses to you so that you can see. So you can see the verses here, 16th and 17th. In answer Shri Krishna says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam janah sukritino Arjuna arto jigyasurartharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. I've written in English also, so you can see. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janah sukriti norjuna. Chaturvidha means 4 kinds of people. Bhajante mam. Bhajante mam means they adore me, they worship me, they take refuge in me. Janaha means people. Sukritina, Arjuna. Sukritina is a very important word here. Sukritina means those who are doers of good, those who perform good actions, those who are good, charitable, kind and generous people, they are Sukritina. So they are of 4 kinds, those who worship me. What are those 4 kinds? Artho, Jigyasu, Artharthi, Jnani. These are the 4 types of people whom Shri Krishna mentions, who are good and who take refuge in the Lord. First is Artha. Artha means those who are afflicted, those who are suffering from various kinds of miseries. Second is Jigyasu. Jigyasu means one who wishes to know. One who wishes to know what? One who wishes to gain the knowledge of God. We should remember this. One who wishes to know all kinds of worldly things is not a devotee of God. So Jigyasu here means one who wishes to know what? Know about the nature of God. One who wishes to attain God. Third is Artharthi. Artharthi means Artha, Artha means wealth in Sanskrit. So third variety is those who desire wealth. Those who desire wealth. And fourth is Jnani. Jnani means a knower of Brahman, one who has already realized Brahman, who has reached the goal. He is the 4th type of devotee who worships God. So I have just put this in a now you can see here, first type is Artha, means the afflicted, those who are suffering from various kinds of miseries in the world. Second is Jigyasu, the seeker of knowledge. Third comes Artharthi, the seeker of wealth. And last and above everybody is the Jnani. Jnani is the knower of Brahman, one who has known God, one who has nothing left to achieve. So these are the 4 kinds of people, Shri Krishna says, who worship me. Now we will see what all these terms mean and how we can relate ourselves to these devotees. So Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukriti norjuna artho jigyasu artharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. O Arjuna, foremost of the Bharata dynasty, 4 classes of people of virtuous deeds adore me. Who are those? The afflicted, the seeker of knowledge, the seeker of wealth, and one who has already realized me. That is the Jnani. These types of people adore me. Jana means people, and Sukritina is a very important word here, of virtuous deeds. Virtuous deeds means those who have done and are doing good works. Those who have virtues accumulated in this life as well as in previous life, whose lives have been fruitful. This is very important to know because otherwise we may think that God has also mentioned the artharthi. So, seeker of wealth. I can see some smiling faces here. Yeah, many people are pleased to hear this. But you should remember, Sukritina is the defining term here. Sukritina. Seeker of wealth does not mean miserly, greedy people who want to hoard their wealth and who get a headache for 10 days if they have to give $10 to anybody. Those kinds of greedy people are not meant here. Here, Sukritina means those who are good people. Even those who are good people, they are not all knowers of Brahman. All of them have not realized God. Some of them may have some desires. So, there is nothing wrong if they want to satisfy those desires in a proper way. Okay, our scriptures never say that those who have desires are all bad. No, not at all. Then 99.99% of the people will be bad in the world. And how will they approach God then? They will have no avenue open. But God wants that all should approach Him. So, even a seeker of wealth, if he wants to get wealth in the proper way and he spends it in a proper way, and if he is devoted to God, he takes refuge in God even for getting wealth, then he can also be called a devotee. This is the main thing to understand here. So, Sukritina is to be added before each of these terms. Artha, those who are afflicted. Now, those who are afflicted are all kinds of people. So many people are, nearly everybody is suffering in some way or the other in this world. So, are all of them devotees? No. Only those who are good and who know that only God can get rid of their sufferings and who approach God with devotion for that purpose, only they are meant by the term this artha, the afflicted. So artha, jigyasu, artharthi and jnani. Artha means afflicted, jigyasu means a seeker of God, artharthi means a seeker of wealth, and a jnani, of course, is a jnani. He has reached the goal, so naturally he will be good. But these three also, the afflicted, the seeker of wealth and the seeker of knowledge, they are sukritina, they are good people, good, charitable, generous people. If they are, then only they can be called devotees of God. This we should remember. So Sukritina are those who do good works. Now you see, a very important thing we should note here, we all have to have good sanskaras, good impressions in the mind. Because if we don't have good sanskaras, we will never be able to approach God. And for getting good sanskaras, we have to do good works. Without doing good works, those sanskaras will never form. Only thinking or imagining or reading about something will not produce such sanskaras. This is the thing. If we just imagine that I am giving something to a poor man, let me just imagine, that won't help. Or if we read in some scripture that we should pray and meditate, if we just imagine that I am praying and meditating, that won't help. To create good sanskaras, we have to pray and meditate. We have to do it. Similarly, we have to give something to someone to produce those good sanskaras. And that also, if we give with great respect and also on a good occasion, it will be more beneficial. If some beggar comes and you just throw some money at him with disrespect just to get rid of him, that will not produce good sanskaras at all. So, not only giving, but giving in a right way is very important. So, good sanskaras will only be produced by good actions. Thinking or imagining will not produce them. So, Sukritina means good people who have done good actions in their previous life and also this life. So, what is their characteristic? Characteristic is bhajante mam. Shri Ram, this in the verse, Shri Krishna says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam. Bhajante mam means they adore me. So, what is the characteristic of Sukritina, one who does good deeds? The characteristic is he adores God, he worships God, he serves God. This is the sure sign of Sukriti people. So, if we don't have any impulse, if we don't feel like adoring God, we should know that something is lacking in us. That is why Shri Krishna mentions this word specially, Sukriti Naha, those who are good people. Because those who are not good people, those who are Dushkritina, will not have faith in God at all, won't have the inclination to adore Him at all. So, whenever you see some person whom you know who is not a good person, if you see him quoting big things and talking all nice things about God, you should be careful. You should know that this person does not mean what he says because his character does not match his words. So, a doer of good actions only can be devoted to God, and all those who are doers of good actions will naturally be devoted to God. Otherwise, they cannot be called good in this sense of the term. So those who are dushkritina, evildoers, they don't take shelter under God. They either take shelter in the world, in their money, or in some other person with whom they have a selfish interest. Or if these people are powerful, they take refuge in their own perverted intelligence or ego. Like all these big dictators who are harming people like Hitler and all. So those evildoers, they took refuge in their own perverted intellects and their big egos. They didn't take refuge in God. So only good people can worship God. Mam bhajante. Bhajante comes from the root bhaj in Sanskrit. Bhaj has many meanings. One of them is serving God also. So here bhaj can mean adoring God, worshipping God, serving God, anything in any sense we want to take. Now, see, our mind has various faculties, and all these faculties have to be used in one direction, that is adoring God. The thing is, see, the Atman, Brahman or the Atman, we know that it is described as Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means existence, Chit means knowledge, and Ananda means bliss. This you all know. So you see, this Satchidananda or Brahman is always being reflected in our mind. Otherwise, we would not have been conscious. We are working, we can work only through the power of consciousness, which is the Atman. So this Satchidananda is always being reflected in the mind. The mind is never without knowledge. Even when we say, I did not know anything, when we say, I did not know anything, what are we saying? I didn't know that there was anything. So that is also knowledge. If I know that I did not know, that is also knowledge. Because I know that I did not know. So the mind can never be without knowledge. Chitta or mind, our chitta or mind is always reflecting the Atman. Now see, when the thought waves which arise in the mind, when they reflect the Ananda aspect, Satchit Ananda, so when they reflect the Ananda aspect of Brahman, they take the form of love. When they reflect the Chit aspect, it becomes the Buddhi or the discriminating faculty. And when the mind reflects the Sat aspect, it becomes concentration. This we have to remember. I'll just show you the see here, when the thought waves or meditations, when it reflects the Ananda aspect, it takes the form of love. When it reflects the Chit aspect, it becomes the Buddhi or the discriminating faculty. And when it reflects the Sat aspect of Brahman, it becomes concentration. So all our varying moods, etc., we know it depends upon which aspect of Brahman is being reflected in the mind at that time. Okay. Now the question is how we use the love or the discriminative faculty or the bliss which arises in the mind. Upon how do we use that, upon that will depend our spiritual progress. If we use it to attain God, then we will progress towards God. If we direct these faculties to the world, then we will become worldly people. Because all of us has the power of concentration. Upon us depends how we use that. In the scriptures, the example is given that a person was making some arrows. He was making some arrows. His mind was completely engrossed in making that arrow. And a bridal party passed by the road. Bridal party in India, you know, all these Gana Bajana, all these pa, pum, pa, everything, so much sound is there. So it is said that that person was so engrossed in making arrows, he did not even hear the bridal party. It went away, it came and went away. But his mind was so concentrated. So even an ordinary person's mind can be concentrated towards the thing he is attracted to. But being concentrated on making an arrow and being concentrated on God are two completely different things. Everybody asks, Maharaj, how can we concentrate? How can we meditate? You are concentrating every day. When you see a movie, don't you concentrate? Then your mother may call you, your father may call you, you don't even hear. So all these things, when we do, when which we have interest, we concentrate automatically. Nobody has to tell us. But the problem is what? Problem is how to direct this concentration towards higher things. So when the boy who is watching a movie, when his mind is concentrated on the movie, when his mother tells, shut this movie and come to study, you have an exam tomorrow, then what happens? Suddenly all the concentration goes away. That boy cannot fix his mind on the books because his mind is on the movie. So concentration is necessary, that is true. But our main problem is how to direct this concentration towards the highest. That is the main thing. So when this Satchitananda will be reflected, it is always being reflected on our mind. So upon us will depend how we direct those faculties. If we get attached to anything else other than God, our minds will become diverted. Then we can't be called devotees. Okay. So this we should remember, that a devotee is one who is Sukritina, a doer of good, and one who meditates on God, worships God. Then if he also desires worldly things and wants to get them in the right way, there is no harm. Because if he approaches God for that, slowly what will happen? Those worldly desires will go away and only God will remain. This is the thing. So, 4 types of people worship me. Artha, the afflicted; Jigyasu, the seeker of knowledge; Artharthi, the seeker of wealth; and the Jnani. Jnani is one who has realized God. Okay. Now see, Artha we can understand, afflicted. They are suffering from all kinds of problems. Maybe stomach problem, headache, and maybe some financial difficulty or some fighting in the house, etc., etc. So many problems are there in the world. So, Artha, the afflicted, we can understand that all these miseries prompt him to approach God for help. This we can understand. Jigyasu also we can understand, the seeker of knowledge, one who wants to know God. He will naturally approach God. There is no problem in understanding that. But when we try to analyze the Artharthi, the seeker of wealth, and the Jnani, the one who has already realized God, when we try to analyze them, then 3 questions arise. 3 questions. Very important questions. I will just show them to you. See, these are the questions. I'll just share the screen. Yeah. So, regarding the seeker of wealth and one who has already realized God, when Sri Krishna says they also worship me, then 3 questions arise. Generally, what we think, that God will only give liberation, etc., mukti. So, why should those who desire wealth, why should they worship God at all? This is the first question which arises, because every time whenever there is a spiritual discussion, what do we hear? That God will give us devotion, God will give us knowledge, God will give us liberation, but it is rarely said that God will also give us wealth. So one who desires wealth or any other worldly thing, why should he worship God at all? This is the first question. Sukritina means those who are doer of good deeds. They can be with desires as well as without desires. So without desires, of course, they are very great people. But even those with desires, why should they worship God? That is the first question. Second question is, why you should love only God? You see, all those who have read scriptures, they know that Vedanta says Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma means everything is Brahman. See, these are the three questions. Second question, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahman means everything is Brahman. So if everything is God, then why is it said that we should only worship incarnations like Krishna, Rama, etc., or worship God in his formless form? We can also worship an insect. We can also worship an animal. Because all these are God according to Vedanta. Nothing exists other than God. So why should we only worship these forms of God like Shiva, Krishna, Rama, etc.? Why should you only worship incarnations of God? This is the second question. Third question is, it is said that a jnani means a knower of God who has already attained liberation, he also worships God. So why should a liberated person worship God? He has nothing to desire, he has attained everything. So why should he adore God? What will be his motive? This is the third question. So, three questions. Why should those with desires worship God? If everything is Brahman, we can love anything, any animal also, and be liberated. So why should we love only God? Third question, why should a liberated person adore God at all? What will be his motive in doing so? Okay, these three questions arise. Now let us discuss the answers to these questions. First question is, if God will give only liberation and devotion, etc., why should those with desires worship Him? So the answer is, see, those with desires and those without desires. The good people are of two types, those with desires and those without desires. Now see, what do we see in the world? 99.99% are with desires. But do they really worship God? Those who are not virtuous, but those who have desires, they will adore some king or some minister or some rich man, etc. A rich man for money, they will adore a minister for power. So those who have desires, but those who don't perform good deeds will be attracted to everything else other than God. But those who are virtuous but still have some desires, they will approach God only to fulfill those desires. Okay. In order to fulfill those desires, they will not go to any worldly person. They will go to God only, knowingly and with reverence. So if such a person tries to understand God, or not understand God, of course such persons are desirous of worldly things, but if such persons desire wealth also from God, they will get wealth also. This is the thing. So God, it is not that God only gives us liberation and devotion. God will give us whatever we desire. There is a word, Kalpataru, that on 1st January Shri Ramakrishna became the Kalpataru, means Shri Ramakrishna became the wish fulfilling tree. He gave everybody what they wanted. So God is the wish fulfilling tree. If a person approaches him with reverence and adores him, even with a wish to get some worldly thing, his desire will also be satisfied. This is the thing. So, even those who desire wealth, they should not go to any worldly person, or they should not adopt any worldly methods to satisfy that desire. For that desire also, they should go to God only. That is the meaning. So this is the first question which has been answered. Second question, as to why we should only worship Narayana, Krishna and Rama, why we cannot consider a mosquito as God, as a lion as God, as a tiger as God, and worship them, this should be answered. You see, in the scriptures it is mentioned that Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, everything is Brahman. But till we realize that everything is Brahman, we only see the superimposition upon Brahman. Superimposition. As in Vedanta we say that a rope is lying on the ground, but till we cannot recognize the rope, we think there is a snake there. So till we are ignorant of the rope, we see only the snake. The snake is the superimposition. So it is true that a mosquito is God, a tiger is God, everything is God. But till we actually realize that everything is God, till we actually realize Brahman, we will see only the superimpositions. So, where the superimposition is the least, there God is manifest to the maximum degree. And where is the superimposition the least? In the incarnation of God. In Rama, Krishna, Jesus Christ, Buddha, etc., there is hardly any superimposition. The divinity shines forth in these very, very great incarnations. So there, for us, for ordinary people like us, it is easiest to see God there. So we should worship only them. Mam bhajante. Shri Krishna says, he worships me only. Who is Mam? Mam means Nanda Nandanam Shama Sundaram Murli Manoharam Bhajante. He worships Shri Krishna. He worships the wielder of the bow, Shri Ramachandra. He worships Jesus Christ. He worships Buddha. He worships Ramakrishna. So we have to adore God only in the form in which He is most manifest. That is why Mam Bhajante, Shri Krishna says in the verse. And the third question is, why will a Jnani, one who has already realized God, why will he worship God? This is the third question. So this answer we will discuss a little later. Okay. So 4 types of people worship me. Shri Krishna says, Artha, afflicted; Jigyasu, the seeker of knowledge; Artharthi, the seeker of wealth; and the Jnani, a knower of Brahman. So now let us discuss them one by one. Okay. Let us first discuss Artha. Artha means one who is afflicted, one who is falling into the clutches of affliction, of dangers, from enemies, diseases, etc. He worships God. Why? He worships God so that God will remove his suffering. He goes to God saying, God, please get rid of all this suffering which has fallen from me. So Artha is one who is surrounded by suffering from all sides. Like we say in Hindi, dukh se ghira hua. Everywhere, on all sides, the poor fellow is suffering. So he goes to God to get rid of that suffering. Now see a very important point. All of us are afflicted in some way or the other. All of us have to suffer in some way or the other in this world. So, what is the difference between how a Sukritina, a good person, how he reacts towards suffering, and how a bad person, Dushkritina, how he reacts towards suffering? This we should know. Everybody suffers. But if a good person suffers, how will he react? And if a bad person suffers, how will he react? That marks the difference between a devotee and one who is not a devotee. So we should remember this very carefully so that we know that when reaction comes, we should know we are good people or bad people. Because everybody thinks himself good, but only these tests will show us whether we are really good. So what is the difference, you see? Now see, if a worldly person, completely worldly person, who does not do so much good deeds and all, if somebody harms him, if somebody causes him some grief, then how will that worldly person react? What will he do? He will try to harm the person who has harmed him. He will try to take revenge upon that person. He will always be thinking of that person with great anger. Oh, this rascal had done this to me. I will see him. I will finish him off. I will do this or that. So what has happened, you see, in that worldly person, when somebody harms him, his mind becomes full with the thought of wickedness. He has become wicked. He only thinks of taking revenge and harming the other person. God has completely gone from his life. But if a good person suffers, how will his mind react? He will think that it is God who has given this suffering according to his own karma. He will not think of taking revenge or harming any other person. His mind will be on God only. He will think that God, you have given me this, it must be due to my own karma. Now let me try to do better. He will feel repentant, he will feel humble. But one who is not a good person, if somebody harms him, his mind will only be full of wickedness, because he will be hating that person who has caused him harm and thinking about how he will take revenge. So God will go out of his mind and wickedness will enter. But the virtuous person will always be thinking of God, even if he encounters suffering. So this is the difference. So Sukritina, those who are good people, even if they encounter suffering, they don't blame this person or that person. They don't have any wicked thoughts. They simply go to God and say, God, please remove this suffering from my life. They are the Artha. They are called Artha. Good people who suffer and approach God to remove their suffering. Now you see, in order to make us understand what these characters are like, all these characters have been exemplified in our scriptures, in our Puranas. Now, when we read that a good person, when he encounters suffering, he will go to God, we should have a clear picture of such a character in our mind. So, in order to form this picture, the Puranas give us so many characters so that we know that these are actually who are Artha. So, when we encounter suffering, we should also behave like them. This is the thing. So, what do we see in the scriptures? We see many characters who depict how an Artha devotee should be like, afflicted devotee. Many characters are there. One is that many kings were there. You see, Jarasandha in the Mahabharata, when we read, we will come across Jarasandha. Jarasandha was a very evil king who was killed by Bhim, younger brother of Yudhishthir later, but he was a very evil person and he had conquered many kings, many kingdoms, and all those kings he had kept in his prison. So those kings were suffering. They were captives of Jarasandha, but they called on God to remove their suffering. So Krishna came with Bhim, he killed Jarasandha and he released all those kings from captivity. This is one example. Another example is Draupadi. Draupadi, you all know, when she was being insulted in the court of the Kauravas, what did she do? She called on God. She called on Shri Krishna to get rid of that suffering, to get this. She said that actual words are, I am drowning in the sea of the Kauravas. Kaurava Arnava Magna. I am drowning in the sea of the Kauravas. Please help me. And such beautiful descriptions are there. When Krishna heard that call, he simply rushed. So these characters are there to make us understand. Another character is there of a Gajendra. Gajendra means he was the king of elephants, and when he went to once drink water in a river, a crocodile caught hold of his feet. I will show you the photo of Gajendra. See the photo here. See the elephant below. Elephant is worshipping God with that lotus flower. He is worshipping God, and his feet, you see, the crocodile you can see there. So crocodile has caught his feet. And Shri Krishna, Lord Vishnu comes and kills the crocodile and saves Gajendra. So this Gajendra, this elephant, represents an Artha devotee. One who, when in danger, calls on God to rescue him. So, as you know, our literature is so rich. Everything has been presented so beautifully. This Gajendra episode, that this elephant calling on God, has also been depicted in a wonderful song. That what happened, how did the elephant got caught? It is a wonderful song. नीर पीवन हेतु गयो सिंधु के किनारे, सिंधु बीच वसत ग्राह चरण धरि पछारे. नीर पीवन हेतु गयो. I went to drink water in the river. What happened? Sindhu beach vasat graha, the alligator who was there, charan dhari pachare, he caught my feet and dragged me into the river. So, He Govind, He Gopal, He Govind, हे गोपाल हे गोविंद राखो शरण. So this Gajendra is worshipping, please God, I take refuge in you. Please rid me of this alligator. All these have been depicted so beautifully. And another character is all you know, the people of Vraja. Vraja, you know, where Shri Krishna went, he was born in Mathura, and then he was taken to Gokul, that is Vrindavan. So what happened once? Once, the people of Raja, they used to worship Indra every year. Indra, you know, he is the god who controls all these clouds and rain, etc. So they worshipped Indra every year. But Shri Krishna, when he came to Vrindavan, he was a young boy then, he said, why should we worship Indra? We should instead worship Govardhan mountain. The mountain gives us so many things. So from now, let us worship Govardhan. So they began to worship Govardhan mountain. Now Indra, when he saw that people were not worshipping me, he became angry. And all those clouds and all thunder he ordered, and he flooded the whole of Vrindavan. Torrential rain, floods, people had nowhere to go, everyone crying for help, suffering. Artha devotees, afflicted devotees, where did they go? To whom did they go to remove their suffering? They went to Sri Krishna. So a beautiful photo I will just share. See, here Sri Krishna, what did he do? He lifted the whole Govardhan mountain. That too on the little finger of his left hand. The whole mountain he lifted, and all the people took shelter under the mountain. So the people of Vraja also, they represent the Artha devotees. So all these characters, you see, they give us an idea of how Artha devotee should be like. People don't understand. Sometimes they say, oh, Puranas are all cock and bull stories. We should understand the function of the Puranas. They concretize these characters. They concretize the abstract spiritual principles so that we can understand them. And it is so beautifully, all the incidents are so beautifully described and in our literature. You see what happened when this Indra became angry and when he began to shower this torrential rain, etc. It has been so beautifully depicted in this song. बढ़ता रहा अभिमान पूजित क्रोध प्रतिबल इंद्र का. Abhiman, that ego of Indra, kept on increasing. He thought, why are these people not worshipping me? गिरिराज को धारण किए ब्रिजराज मुस्काते रहे. So Giriraj, this Govardhan, को धारण किए, Krishna is holding up the Govardhan and smiling. गिरिराज को धारण किए ब्रिजराज मुस्काते रहे. एक होड़ सी लगने लगी फिर वज्र में और चक्र में. So Vajra and Chakra, this Vajra is the weapon of Indra and Chakra, so the discus, is the weapon of Krishna. So a competition started, as it were. धरती गगन के बीच तंत्र और मंत्र टकराते रहे. So all this fighting was going on. बढ़ता रहा अभिमान पूजित क्रोध प्रतिबल इंद्र का, गिरिराज को धारण किए ब्रिजराज मुस्काते रहे। एक होड़ सी लगने लगी फिर वज्र में और चक्र में, धरती गगन के बीच तंत्र और मंत्र टकराते रहे। एंड द क्लाइमेक्स, और श्री कृष्ण की शरण में निर्भय गाते रहे नर नारी, हमारो कान्हा गोवर्धन गिरिधारी, हमारो कान्हा गोवर्धन गिरिधारी। कन्हैया निज भक्तन के शीश पे छतर बन के, कन्हैया निज भक्तन के शीश पे छतर बन के, देखो आप करें रखवारी, हमारो कान्हा गोवर्धन गिरिधारी. So these have been depicted so beautifully so that we can have an idea of what these devotees are like. So Artha devotee also, I think time is up. Artha devotee we have, I think, finished. So this is what Artha devotee is like, those who suffer but they don't go to any, they don't adopt any worldly means to remove their suffering. They go to God. So these are the few types I have described who are mentioned in the scriptures. The kings captivated by Jarasandha, Draupadi, and the gopis of Raja, and the Gajendra, that elephant who called on God to get rid of the crocodile. So many beautiful descriptions are there, you can never finish them. So time is up. We have not even completed half the explanation of the first verse. So we will take that up later. We can end here today. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Supriya Di.
Namaskar Maharaj.
Yeah.
Happy Holi.
Happy Holi.
The same comment as Dr. Chakladar. You cleared so many things, and this Sukritina explains everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
that explains everything.
Very, very interesting talk, and looking forward to listen to the other categories later. Okay.
Yeah, we have just started. Yeah, even one verse may take a long time. Let's see. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Excellent talk as always. No questions yet.
Okay.
I'm waiting. Thank you.
Thank you. RP sir is now unmuted. RP sir, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I was just thinking,
Yeah.
suppose if I go to the forest
Yeah.
and get attacked by the tiger,
Yeah.
and shall I fight, or I should say, "Tamake raksha karo," bolun?
You should fight, but with also taking refuge in God. Means,
কি করে দুটো কাজ একসঙ্গে
of
করার
course,
জন্য?
why Arjuna, how was he taught to fight by Krishna? What did Krishna say to Arjuna? You sit down in your chariot, let the Kauravas kill you. No, he said, Mamekam Sharanam Braja, you take refuge in me. You do your duties and take refuge in me. Otherwise, how will you live? So why tiger? Suppose we want to eat food when we are hungry, what shall we say? God, fill my stomach. No, what do? We go and cook and eat food. But we should know that we are getting it only because of the grace of God. So we should take refuge in God and do those things. That is, in worldly life also we see those who are worldly persons. Suppose, what do? Suppose a man wants power. He approaches a minister. So he takes refuge in the minister and does all his duties so as to get power. So one who wants God, he will do all his duties. Nobody has asked us to sit still. We have to fight in this world, not with tigers, with circumstances. But we should fight thinking of God. Mam, in these two words, Mam Anusmara Yudhya Cha. Shri Krishna has answered your question in the Gita. Mam Anusmara, thinking of me, Yuddha Cha, fight.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.